I'm Bill, and this is my great friend, the true giant among us, a brilliant genius, one who's able to create beauty out of darkness. And your name?
It's Jason Still.
Okay, and so I'm Bill, and we're in California.
Beauty out of darkness. That might have been a line you could put on Bill Walton's headstone.
That would be a good nickname for him, Beauty Out of Darkness.
I've met and talked to Bill a couple times in my life in covering the Trailblazers and being around Portland and in the NBA. What you saw on TV from Bill Walton is what he was in real life. He was just a different cat. He marched to a different drum. I don't think that switch could ever be turned off because that was just uniquely him. He was a Renaissance man if the Renaissance was on acid.
Or on mushrooms. Whatever he could get his hands on.
He was like the LARPer last week that we figured out we got duped on.
Yeah,
my spell didn't work because there was too much glitter.
I just
Bill with two L's.
I don't know. Like the only person I think I could compare him to as far as just like being kind of one of one, and maybe it's not a direct comparison because of how their lives ended, and maybe some lack of positivity, but Anthony Bourdain. In that they're both, they are who they are, and they're very, like you just knew, like that's like if you talk to anybody who ever worked with Bourdain or if you watch this show, like that's just who he was, and it's so rare. He was a character naturally, long before characters existed on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just didn't have. I remember when I was younger, listening to Walton and Snapper on NBC broadcasts. I didn't like Bill Walton when I was younger.
No, I think most people didn't.
Yeah,
I guess they didn't like his calls at least.
No, and I wasn't like, I'm not old enough. I was born in '84, so I was not old enough to like watch him play. Like I was alive when he played, but I didn't watch him play. So my understanding of him was as a broadcaster. And at first I was like, as a younger guy, I was like, this guy's what the hell is this? And the more I listened to him, the more I grew to love him. And when I saw he was on a call on a game that I really didn't even care about, if I'd flip on a Pac-12 game and I saw Passion Walton, I was in, baby. Buckle up every single time. I didn't care what game it was. I didn't care how good, how bad, what it was, because you knew what you were going to get. Because Passion and him were electric. The Snapper and him were incredible. You want to talk about a married couple fighting on live TV? That's what those two were. And it was incredible. It was incredible stuff. And I should have caveat all this.
Well, listen, and Pash was the perfect foil
absolutely.
for him. He was
Absolutely.
the perfect straight foil for him.
Because I don't know what you're talking about when it comes to like him and Snapper. I didn't hear him and Snapper. It's like John Madden is this way too, or was this way for me.
Madden
where
and
everyone
Summerall.
would talk about Madden and Summerall, and I'm like, what are you talking about? He was with Al Michaels, and Al Michaels is, the greatest of all time, at least in my eyes. So like
Madden and Summerall is the best football pairing of all time.
And that's what everyone says, and
there's nobody's going to touch that.
Right. And I miss that. So I miss Snapper and I missed Walton, but for someone with, from the younger generation, like I think my understanding of Bill wasn't even as a Blazer. Like my remembrance of when I was younger of like how people talked about Bill was how my grandpa talked about Bill Walton, because my grandpa was a big USC fan and he's a big LA Laker fan. So guess who he hated growing up? He
UCLA
hated
Celtic.
Bill Walton.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even, probably not until late middle school, early high school, did I even realize that he was with the Blazers, he was an MVP, and how good he truly was. But what I came to appreciate about Bill is I felt like when I tuned in to ESPN, I knew that Bill was going to be like your crazy uncle, but he was going to defend you.
But he wouldn't touch you funny.
Right. He's your crazy eccentric uncle.
Sorry.
No, you're good. He's your crazy eccentric uncle who's way into like conspiracy theories and he's into Grateful Dead, but he's going to defend the Pac-12.
Yes.
Whenever I tuned in to ESPN. I felt like I had to listen to the Trevor Mays of the world. I had to listen to Jay Billis's of the world, where they promoted ACC basketball and SEC football or whatever sport they were doing, and they were going to support where they were from. And Bill supported the Pac-12. He always called it the Conference of Champions, and at points it could be a little bit nauseating because
the Conference of Champions.
He was so biased towards us, but he was the only one that was biased towards us.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where my love of him came, where it's like, he's going to be crazy. He's going to say some out-of-pocket stuff. There's going to be moments where you go, what is he even watching the game right now? But at the end of the day, he's going to defend us, so he's ours. And that made me love Bill Walton.
Well, and part of it, too, was tuning into a broadcast that had Bill Walton on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it. You weren't tuning in for the basketball.
No.
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 There were the times when he did the Maui Invitational for ESPN, which you would turn in for the basketball because you have probably 8 to 10 of the best teams in the country.
Yeah.
But you also knew that Bill was probably on that Maui Wowie.
Yeah.
And it was going to be a grand old show.
Exactly.
Bill Walton was not somebody who shied away from the fact that the man liked to do some drugs.
Yes.
He was very open.
Yeah.
Whether or not he was, the biggest Grateful Dead fan on the planet.
Known deadhead.
Known deadhead. The man liked to smoke, as we have a clip of. He did like to puff.
Let's see. Here we go.
Puff Johnson, who scored. He's named for his love of Cocoa Puffs as a kid. Puff. Cameron Johnson's younger brother.
I love Puff.
The Dragon? Or just
puff,
the act
fluff.
of puffing?
Puffing, fluffing. I love it all.
Puffing, fluffing. I love it all. And you could just hear it in Bash's voice. You love Puff?
Well,
Puff,
and
Puff the Magic
and
Dragon?
the dragon, we all knew what the dragon was too. Come on, Dave.
Well, that was the great part about Dave. Was he was like,
Like I said, the perfect straight foil.
No, it was fantastic, and we will come back. We will revisit 503-864-6326, the Vancouver Ford text line. If you've got a Bill Walton story, if you've got a Bill Walton quote or quip that you want to hear, we've got most of them already. The volcano, we've got the volcano on there.
We've got volcanoes, Dave.